concerns that it cannot continue to sideline the 5 million Palestinians living under its occupation, denied of their legitimate rights, and the Palestinian lives are no less valuable than Israeli lives.
That was Jordan's King Abdullah earlier today at a peace conference with Arab leaders in Cairo, Egypt. As Israel's counteroffensive to Hamas continues, we are seeing demonstrations in cities across the globe calling for an immediate ceasefire aimed at ending further civilian losses. In an Oval Office address on Thursday, President Biden defended America's role in assisting Israel's counteroffensive.
History has taught us that when terrorists don't pay a price for their terror, when dictators don't pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos and death and more destruction.
Here to discuss with us Israel's path forward is senior advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, also his former spokesperson and former Israeli ambassador to the United Kingdom, Mark Regev. Thank you, sir, for being here. Good to see you, Ambassador. So first, I would love to know what your advice has been. You know, as a former spokesperson, I understand you're not going to characterize the exact words of the Prime Minister, but what is the nature of the advice that you have given to Prime Minister Netanyahu when it comes to the increasing calls for a ceasefire, especially if it could help secure the release of more hostages?
So first of all, Simone, thank you for having me on your program. I think that, the ceasefire sounds good. It sounds like a wonderful thing. Let's stop fighting. But as President Biden said, Hamas hit us and hit us hard. They butchered our people. Terrible ISIS-type violence, yes, inflicted against young people at that open-air music concert, attacking people in their homes, beheading, killing babies. I've seen pictures of babies in cots riddled with bullets, really terrible, awful violence. And the people who say ceasefire, it's like they hit us and they butcher our people. And then Israel can't strike back. Israel can't act to defend its people. We've got to stop what we're doing. And the truth is, it's not just morally wrong, but it's also strategically wrong, because you're telling terrorists that they can hit us and have immunity. And that means they're just going to hit us again in another month, in another 6 months, in another year. We'll have another brutal massacre like we had. No, we've got to find a solution to this.
So, Mr. Ambassador, then what do you say to folks that say, yes, they fully believe that Israel should have the right to defend itself, that agree with you about the heinous terrorist attack that Israel experienced at the hands of Hamas on October 7th, but are concerned about the civilians, both Israeli civilians and Palestinian civilians who are caught up amidst this fighting? Or what do you say to those folks that are concerned about them? They completely understand everything you just laid out, but innocent people are being killed.
So we don't want to see innocent civilians caught up in the crossfire between us and Hamas. And we're making a maximum effort. And we understand that in many ways, the civilian population of Gaza is a victim of that terrible Hamas regime that's been ruling the Gaza Strip for the last 16 years. And we know there's going to be difficult fighting in the northern part of the Gaza Strip, and that's why we've asked people there, the civilians, to relocate to the south, not to be caught up in the crossfire. We don't target the civilian population of Gaza. But it has to be said that while Israel is trying to make a maximum effort to avoid civilian casualties, Hamas does the opposite. It has told people not to leave the combat areas. It's actually physically tried to stop them from doing so. And this, I think, has to be said. While Israel is perceived as being the enemy of the Palestinian people, and Hamas claims to speak for them, of course it doesn't, but it claims to speak for them. The truth is Israel is trying to save lives while Hamas is willing to sacrifice an untold number of Palestinian civilians on the altar of its crazy, hateful, extreme ideology.
Hamas is, in fact, a terrorist organization. So if there are any changes, so just to be clear, a ceasefire is not on the table as it relates to the Israeli point of view here.
We will continue the operation against Hamas. We will dismantle its military machine, and we will do so in a way that we will try as best as we can to minimize civilians getting caught up in the crossfire. Let me say this. I'd like to be able to tell you, Simone, I'd love to be able to tell you that not a single civilian casualty will come out of this conflict. And of course, I can't. There hasn't been a war in recent history where there hasn't been civilians caught up. But I can promise you this, we'll make a maximum effort to avoid seeing civilians killed in this conflict. We'll try to keep those numbers as low as is humanly possible as we defeat this terrible threat, Hamas. I mean, just as ISIS was defeated in Syria and Iraq, we will defeat Hamas in Gaza. And just as there were a few urban strongholds in Iraq, specifically in Mosul, where there were, unfortunately, some collateral damage, and in the fight against ISIS, which was justified, the world is much better off without ISIS. But there were some civilian casualties. The West tried to keep those casualties as low as possible. We'll try to do the same in Gaza. The people of Gaza, we don't target them. We want to be as surgical as we can be against the Hamas terrorists who ultimately they butchered our people.
Mr. Ambassador, I want to ask you about the hostages. As we discussed on our program earlier, 2 American hostages were released. There was conversation from you. I know you've said that for a fact that you believe that more than half of the hostages that are still have been kidnapped by Hamas and still with Hamas, they are alive. Can you elaborate on that intel? Why are you so sure of this?
Actually, the numbers of people being held by Hamas have gone up because every day we've got new information, and we now estimate 210 people are being held by Hamas, and that's that counts also in the 2 that left that were released yesterday. So we're very worried about our people, and you know, you've reported on MSNBC that that list of 210 people includes babies. Right? It's terrible. And it includes elderly people, over 85-year-olds, and everything in between. There's some 20 people under the age of 18. That means 20 children. This is inhuman. And the demand from the international community, as said by President Biden very clearly, they have to release all those people immediately and unconditionally. It's unacceptable. And immediately there should be Red Cross visits. They've denied, the International Red Cross has asked to see those people. Hamas has denied them. And that's, I suppose we shouldn't be surprised, Simon, because we saw what Hamas is capable of. We saw what sort of organization this is, the sort of brutality that they inflict on the innocent. We shouldn't be surprised, but the demand should be there nonetheless.
Mark Regev, thank you very much for your time today, and we hope to chat with you again very soon.